and I will tell you, the initial outlook is not looking good for the smartphone telephoto lens. All right, well, welcome back. We are here on location at Cherry Creek Reservoir, and tonight we are going to attempt to test a new camera out. And I know what you're thinking. You're like, wow, a new camera? I thought you were kind of already set on the camera front. Well, I am. And of course, I will always go with the trusty A1 with the 200 to 600 millimeter lens. But we have a challenger today, and that challenger is none other than, if I don't drop it, ooh, the new Pixel 7 Pro, my new phone, which was just recently rated the best smartphone camera out there. It beat out the iPhone 14 Pro by a few points on DxOMark, which is sort of the official website where smartphone cameras get rated. Particularly what I'm interested in is, do I think that a Pixel 7 Pro can beat a Sony A1? Of course not. But the Pixel 7 Pro has got a telephoto lens on it. And if you've ever used any sort of, quote, telephoto lens on a smartphone, you know that they are terrible and very gimmicky, and pretty much the images they generate are frankly unusable. I had a few shots on my iPhone of wildlife that I used, like the telephoto on this was the old iPhone 12 Pro, and they're laughable. They're so bad. So anyways, I would like to test out the Pixel 7 Pro telephoto lens only to see how good it is, because it has got a few tricks up its sleeve. It does something with folding for, magnification, and it uses a lot of AI to make the images look better than what you would normally get. So, So today we're going to try to find something out here where I'm going to use the Pixel as my primary camera, and then I will go to the A1 to get comparison shots. So, anyways, let's drive around, see if we can find something. I've already seen one deer, but it was not in a great spot, so I'm going to continue to look, and I've got Sebastian with me, and we can try to go out here and maybe even get him a little bit of a walk, and we'll see what we can find out tonight, and see if we can test this smartphone camera. But I think it'll be an interesting test. Uh-oh. Wouldn't stop there. There you go. Oh, well, there they go again. All right, well, welcome to sunset at Cherry Creek Reservoir. It's just me and the geese and the pelicans tonight. That's really pretty looking though, so it's cool. So yeah, I found some things out here to try to test our Pixel 7 Pro telephoto lens with. I found some deer, I found some ducks, I found some other birds that I tried to get shots with the smartphone. And then went to the real camera for comparison shots, and I will tell you, the initial outlook is not looking good for the smartphone telephoto lens. Again, not that I ever thought that like a smartphone telephoto lens was going to make good quality images. I guess I was hoping for shots that you looked at and you would say, hey, that's actually not bad for a smartphone. You know, that's what I was kind of hoping for. And I can tell you that is not initially. I don't think so. I think the question really now is, are these shots recoverable, like in post, to make them look pretty good? What I noticed while shooting, like fully zoomed in with the telephoto on the smartphone, is the noise is just out of control. It's just, they're very flat images. Again, probably not surprising, but I guess I was hoping the AI would sort of try to fix that. Like, okay, we're taking the image that's really far away and they don't look good, but the AI is supposed to compute for that and, I don't know, rescue a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. I think the key will be to get them home and actually bring them up on like a full-size monitor, because I've only looked at them on the back of my smartphone screen. So maybe I'm underestimating how good they were, but they didn't look good. So anyways, that was that's sort of the update tonight. So I'm gonna go home and we'll see what they end up looking like. So stand by for the comparison photos. All right, welcome back. So it is the next day, and I have been busy doing lots of editing. I pulled all of the photos off the Pixel, which were shot in RAW. There is a way to get RAW images off the Pixel. It's just in the settings. So I was pulling the RAW images off the phone, and then I was also pulling all the images off the Sony. And it's been a lot of editing, mostly on the Pixel shots, which I guess is not that surprising. But when I left last night, recorded a little video and said that I didn't think it looked good for the Pixel. My outlook is slightly changed. They're better than I was expecting after doing a bunch of editing and post work on them. But they're not great, so I'll show you here. So anyways, I thought it'd be cool to just bring up a couple examples comparing between the Pixel and the Sony, and also where I think it's interesting set of photos because you can see where the Pixel does some things good, but then you can see where it struggles. So let's open up Lightroom here, and we will go in, and I will show you all of the comparison shots. It's let's see here. Here's our final comparisons. So when I first got there, this is the first thing I saw when I got there. I pulled off this little trailhead. It's got this little walkway, and I noticed there were some deer right on the trail. So I jumped out, and this is the first image I took with the Pixel 7 Pro. This was all the way zoomed in on the smartphone, which is they call 30x. I believe that equates to 560 millimeters, like if we were thinking of like a lens or like camera terms. I will, if that's wrong, I will put a little graphic up right now saying what it exactly is. But yeah, I mean, this photo I think turned out, it's okay, it's not too bad. And I feel like we had a decent amount of light coming in back here. Granted, the deer aren't in the light, but I think the light really helps the smartphone camera. And that's one thing that I've noticed with this camera is that you need as ideal of circumstances as you can get, but even then, sometimes it's not great. So, again, when you zoom in though, you can see where I had to run this through denoise, because in these telephoto shots, even with Google's AI, a lot of noise comes out of them, or there's a lot of noise in them. So, I think this is where the photo starts to let down a little bit. If you see here, the foliage and like this stuff back here, it almost now doesn't look real. It almost looks more like a painting. And again, when you are making adjustments like this, where you're taking noise out or you're sharpening or you're doing stuff like that, or you're relying on AI to enhance a photo in some way. Like for example, here there was a bunch of noise here with this deer. So the software says, okay, I'm going to take the noise out, but what do I replace it with? Do you want me to smooth it out? Do you want me to try to use AI to determine what the details would have looked like had you had a better camera? So I think here it really smooths it out, and you lose a lot of details of like this deer's fur. Again, over here, it just doesn't know what to replace the noise with. So it just says, I'm going to just smooth it out. And again, that's not what actually it looked like. But then again, if you kind of go back out in perspective, it's not a bad photo. I think it's actually pretty good from being 150 yards away with a smartphone. I mean, it's not bad. So this photo I liked. The pixel results, it's not bad. Granted, I had to do a lot of work. So here's the Sony shot. And again, I tried to make the crops similar. I think with this one, the Sony is obviously zoomed in a little bit more. The other two deer had gone back into the woods, so this was the only one that was left. And again, when you zoom in here, all those details are preserved. And again, not surprising, but is this a usable shot? When I say usable, I'm thinking for like the average person could take this shot, and would they post this on like Instagram, or would they post this on like Twitter or something like that? And I would say, yeah, I think this shot is usable. Maybe not to like photographers, but like to just like the general public, right? So yeah, this was good. I thought this shot was pretty good. And yeah, not too bad. The next shot was not good. So this was this little blackbird was sitting on this little perch here, and I liked the fact that he's got those like really good colors there in his feathers, that orange and yellow, and I thought it kind of stood out a little bit from the background. But again, if we zoom in, there's no, you can tell it's a bird, but you can't tell, like, it's just a black blob. That I don't like that. And this bird was not that far away. Like, this was pretty close to the road. And again, when I take shots like this, like, I focus on the bird, and I like that background getting really blurred out, that bokeh. And the Pixel camera doesn't know how to do that. So even though I had tapped to focus on this bird, it did not blur out the background like it does on the Sony. Again, I'm not expecting the Pixel to make images like a Sony A1, but I do wish that the telephoto on the Pixel were a little bit smarter and knew how to like sort of blur out that background, which obviously here it doesn't do. So this bird doesn't, like, this bird and this branch that it's on don't stand out like it does here, So, and again, plenty of light here. It's not like we were shooting in shadows. Like, the sun was still up. We had plenty of light. It just didn't get the shot. So again, same spot. I like this bird sitting here on this branch. What I thought was cool about this shot was that, to my eyes, we had sort of the foliage here in the foreground, like this straw was sort of a light color, and then the trees behind it were a little bit darker, and then there was like sort of the blue sky, so it made like this really good color gradient. And then again, the color in the bird's wings made it stand out, and yeah, this image came out really flat. It just didn't do a good job handling colors at different levels. So if you look at the Sony shot, again, here we are, this lighter colored stuff, followed by the darker colored trees, the more yellow, and then sort of the blue sky, which is a little bit overexposed, but I think this is a cool shot. And I really like the way this came out on the Sony. And the Pixel, again, I'm not expecting it to get Sony shots, but I just wish it handled the colors better, and it didn't. So a little disappointing on this one. And again, when we talk about a usable photo, is this something that someone could post to Instagram, or just like an average person? For me, I would say maybe this one is. I guess some of the color, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's kind of an artsy shot, but I don't like it. I would say no, this is not usable, because again, there's no focus on the bird. And then also on this one, I don't think this is usable either. So I'm going to say one good for the Pixel so far, and now 2 bad. I was then driving along, and a buck came wandering out of the woods right as I was driving by. So I stopped, made the U-turn, and shot this buck, who was over here in the grass. And this is the Pixel 7 shot, which again is not, it's not terrible. And again, this was at a full zoom. And one thing I will say about this shot was the sun had gone down, so we were in some pretty low light. So that was tough for the Pixel Telephoto to handle. This original shot had tons of noise in it. So the fact that I was able to rescue it to look like this compared to the original is pretty good. But again, that's not saying good for the camera. That's saying good for the amazing software that exists to edit photos. So again, when you zoom in, this is the same problem we had earlier, where when it's removing noise, it doesn't know what to do with it. So in this case, it just smooths it all out. So I don't like that look. But again, it's a smartphone camera. So again, is this a usable photo? Yeah, I guess so. For like the average person, if they were just like out jogging and they saw this buck, they'd be like, "Whoa!" And they took this shot. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's usable. I mean, it's hard for me as a photographer to be like, no, it's a terrible shot. But I'm trying to think of like the average person, and here is the Sony. So again, really no comparison here. If we zoom in, it's just tack sharp, and yeah, it's a great shot. So, but anyways, as I was sitting here photographing this buck, he actually ended up walking right across the road right in front of my car, and then went up on this little dirt hill on the other side. And I got another shot with the Pixel, and it was pretty close to the car, so I didn't have to do like a full 30x zoom in on it to get a photo. So I thought it was a good chance to see, okay, if we're not all the way zoomed in, like if we're only kind of zoomed in, is it going to do better? And here's the shot as it was kind of walking up this dirt hill. Again, you can see we're in low light. We're kind of in sunset mode at this point. And, it's not the best shot. But what I do actually appreciate about this shot, or what I like, or what I think the Pixel did good, is it really did better with the colors. Like I said, in this shot where everything is really flat, no matter where it is in the photo, whether it's in the foreground, whether it's in the middle, whether it's the background. With this shot, I feel like it captured those yellows, it captured the greens, it did a good job capturing the whites here in the deer, even though that's sort of in the forefront of the shot. So when you're not as zoomed in, when you're not pushing that telephoto lens to its max, I feel like the colors did a lot better, and that depth. So I will say, even though it's just a buck walking up the side of a dirt hill, it's nothing that interesting. I would say if you are using the Pixel, and you're not all the way zoomed in, like it can do a pretty good job of getting the colors better. So, yeah, I would say that's a usable shot. But, yeah. So, the other thing that I did want to show, I photographed this guy, and he eventually wandered off, and then I drove back around to the other side of the lake to leave, and I noticed the colors on the lake were actually really good during sunset. So I stopped one last time to take a picture with the Pixel using just the standard lens. I wasn't like crazy zoomed in. It was just, the lens that 99.9% of people would use on their smartphone, and I thought it did pretty good. So that was these shots here. Again, it's not the most dramatic sunset I've ever seen. I just thought it looked really nice with the ducks and all the pelicans out here. And again, this is just the standard lens. And yeah, I thought it was pretty good. So, and again, this is what people are going to use a smartphone camera for, right? Is that standard lens, that wide angle lens where we're just trying to take a nice sunset photo. They're not going to be at 30x zoomed in to, here's the original buck. So you can see all that noise that was in there. But, yeah. So that's the results of the Pixel 7 Pro, using the telephoto lens to try to do wildlife photography. I would say overall, my takeaway is that it's not very good, nor was I expecting it to be good. I just think of that, like the use case for me personally, is a lot of times I like take my dog for a walk in a place that's kind of similar to this, where I'll be back in the woods, and occasionally, yeah, I'll see a deer, or I'll see like an owl, or I'll see, a heron in the river, and I'm always like, oh man, I wish I had my real camera because I could take a few good shots. And is this telephoto good enough that, like, if I were out for a walk and I just needed to grab a quick shot, could I use that telephoto lens to get something halfway decent? And the answer to me is maybe. You really have to have the right scenario for it to work. But I would say yes, you can make some usable wildlife shots with the Pixel 7 Pro telephoto, and the regular camera on the Pixel 7 Pro itself. Yeah, it's very good. And my initial just review of the phone in general so far is that it's great. I really like it. I was coming off an iPhone 12 Pro, 13 Pro. I had the original Pixel, and then I got a Pixel 3, I think. And then I was going to go to the Pixel 5, but it didn't really get great reviews. So I skipped it, and then I skipped the Pixel 6, and was on an iPhone. And then once I saw that the Pixel 7 was getting really good reviews, I was like, great, I'm back, baby. I'm going back to the Pixel. So, yeah, it's a great phone. And the camera is, it's very good. I see why it gets high rating. The telephoto, though, is, I'd like to say it's what you would expect. It can get images in the right scenario, but you will generally have to do a lot of editing to make it look halfway decent. So that is my take, and that is now the end of the video. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll be back with something new here soon. So thanks. Bye.